Hello everyone, welcome to Just Gaming for Fun. I'm Samuel and this is the first official video for this newly created channel. Just Gaming for Fun is just that. I just want to play and talk about games for fun. There is no need for drama or any other kind of bullshit. I just want to share my opinion on video games. And with that said, today I'm taking a look at Ryse, Son of Rome, a launch title for the Xbox One. Why? Because it's never too late to play a game and share your thoughts on it. But if I'm going to play this game and review it, I want to do it right. I went out and bought a brand new copy of the game, but not just any copy, but a day one copy. So let's head back to November 22nd, 2013 and play Ryse, Son of Rome.
Defeat your Emperor! I, Nero, Augustus Germanicus, command that you defeat your Emperor!
Ryse, Son of Rome is a hack-and-slash adventure developed by Crytek and published by Microsoft. It was developed as a launch title for the Xbox One, but was later released for the PC on October 10th, 2004. I'm playing the game on my Xbox One X. All footage was recorded using the built-in DVR. It's the first game I've ever tried this with. Now I'm only recording in 1080p because when I tried to record it in 4K, it didn't work. But trust me when I say this game looks freaking fantastic while playing in 4K on the Xbox One X. I was literally shocked on how good it looked. In Ryse, Son of Rome, the plot is based around a good old revenge story. You play as a Roman general, Marius Titus, who is out for revenge after seeing his family murdered by the Briton barbarians. So you end up traveling to multiple locations that range from beautiful to terrifying. But while revenge may be a dish best served cold, things are never as simple as that. Through your journey, your revenge will take Marius down a path he never would have expected. Now, even though Ryse, Son of Rome is a little over 6 years old now, I still don't want to ruin it for anyone who hasn't experienced it. Just because a game is old, it doesn't mean everyone has played it. But I will say, while the story isn't as in-depth as some more recent games, I couldn't help but get sucked into this fictional version of Rome that the game was setting up. I like Marius as a character, but I do wish we could have explored his character more deeply. But with only 8 playable missions, there wasn't really a whole lot of time dedicated to the story. While I do prefer gameplay over story, I would have loved to be able to delve deeper into this game's world, because what is here is pretty awesome.
See? There's really only one language these people understand. The language of force.
You will find your chieftain in darkness beyond the wall, where the lowering barren mountains tower over the black, bottomless lochs. Horned men from ancient times roam this land, and of those who venture there, few return.
There is definitely one aspect that Ryse, Son of Rome just nails perfectly. Its presentation. While visually, Ryse, Son of Rome is absolutely gorgeous, especially for a launch title. It's not every day that a launch title could compare to recent releases graphically, but of course it helps that it's running on the CryEngine, an engine that has powered many beautiful games, like the first Crysis, which still looks amazing to this day. There were plenty of times while playing that I just stopped in my tracks and just enjoyed my surroundings. I was honestly not expecting a launch title to hold up this well. I love the variety of locations we get to fight in. We get to see Rome in its glory, and when it's being invaded by the Britons, charging the beaches of Britannia and running through the forests of York. And then there are other times where you have to travel through the dark wilderness of the Northlands. And it wouldn't be right if we had a video game about Rome and you didn't get to play in the famous Roman Colosseum. It's truly amazing to be able to fight here in a virtual version of the Colosseum. I just love it. And I must mention, whether you're traveling through a beautiful forest, storming beaches, or even creeping through a dark and scary forest littered with dead bodies, your eyes are in for a treat. I can't begin to do Ryse, Son of Rome justice. You really have to play the game on the Xbox One X. It is truly something to behold visually, but there's more to Ryse than just its visuals. Its soundtrack is equally awesome. Now, truth be told, if you were to play me a track randomly, I would never guess where it's from. But while listening to the soundtrack while wearing my gaming headset, it sounds awesome. The music is epic when you're in a battle, but it can also be unsettling while walking through the dark forest of the Northlands. I highly recommend wearing a gaming headset while playing Ryse. It is truly an amazing experience to the senses. Crytek didn't hold back when it comes to presentation, but sometimes, that's a given when it comes to launch titles, with a lot of push from its publishers. Launch titles need to show the power of the new console, but most don't hold up visually by the end of the console's lifetime. But Ryse is a different breed. It can still stand toe-to-toe with recent releases when it comes to its presentation. It's truly amazing and unexpected. Now, gameplay for me is usually the deciding factor for any game. So this is where a game needs to shine. And for Ryse, unfortunately, this is where the game takes a stumble. In Ryse, Son of Rome, combat plays a lot like the Arkham series, but only on the surface. When you go deeper, you'll find yourself standing in a puddle instead of a pool. The combat is extremely smooth and responsive, and extremely cinematically pleasing. It looks a lot like the film 300, which I'm sure that was the desired effect. And oh boy, does it work. Combat just looks and feels awesome, but after playing for an hour or so, you will find there isn't much more to come. You strike until you see a white or red skull over the head. At that moment, you can press right trigger to kill them, and the character will glow blue for the X button and yellow for the Y button. But even this is a failed mechanic, because regardless if you press the correct button or not, you will not be punished unless you find less points a punishment. This makes the game way too easy. So what's the point in trying to hone your skills at dealing damage if hitting the right QTE doesn't matter? They should have made it to where if you press the wrong button, that cancels out your attack and you take damage. It just makes sense for balancing purposes. Another problem is that there is no real way to upgrade your form of attacks. While there are upgrades, they're all passive. There is no way to gain new forms of attacks. What you get at the start is all you will have at the end. There is also no way to change out your weapons. You will have the same sword and shield and javelin throughout the whole game. No more, no less. This can make the game feel repetitive as well. I wish they could have added ways to upgrade your weapons or your armor or your skills or something, but alas, there is nothing. So that is definitely a missed opportunity. But to be honest, the base combat is so polished, I actually never got bored. Seriously, I can't begin to explain how well it flows, and the death animations look so good. Again, we come back to its visuals. Visually, combat looks so good, it kept me entertained throughout. It's like watching Troy or 300, but only the combat portions, and it's even better because you're controlling it. But sadly, there are a few more issues. The lack of diversity when it comes to the enemies is noticeable. I hope you like fighting the same handful of barbarians, because you're going to be fighting them the whole game. There is only one section where you fight a different looking group of foes, but they fight the exact same way. So basically, it's just a different skin. This is the same thing when it comes to bosses. There aren't many, but they all feel repetitive. Once you know their pattern, they are fairly easy. So with all that said, combat ends up being very beautiful and polished, but very limiting. Mission structure is linear in nature, but if you go off the beaten path, you will find there are many collectibles to collect. These don't really serve any purpose other than getting an achievement. The moments in the campaign I do enjoy is where you control a small group of soldiers, you move in unison and stay in cover with your shields against arrows, and when the time is right, you counter by throwing your javelin. Again, it feels very much like Troy in 300. There are also certain spots where you can choose different battle stations for your archers or soldiers to defend against the oncoming hordes of barbarians. There are plenty of aspects I just loved about the campaign, but I just feel there is so much more that could have been done to improve upon the combat and progression system. It's a shame because what is here has a high level of polish, but it would seem Crytek just needed another year to add more content. Now technically, there is a multiplayer portion, but I didn't play it for two reasons. For starters, I don't really like playing multiplayer anymore. That time has passed in my life. I only play co-op games like Halo or Gears with my wife. And the second reason is actually I don't expect anyone to still be playing that portion of the game. Ryse, Son of Rome came out in 2013 and it was never as popular as some other games. So I expect there isn't anyone playing the multiplayer portion in 2020. So why even try it?
Say you are protecting Rome. Who will protect you from me?
But overall, I had a fun time with Ryse, Son of Rome. While it's not perfect, not even close, but if there is one word that comes to mind when I think of Ryse, it is polished. When it comes to combat, graphics, sound, voice acting, animation, it all just looks, sounds, and feels amazing. But it just needed more time in the oven. There is so much that could be improved upon when concerning the combat by adding a real progression system that adds new combos, better weapons and armor, actual stats that can be upgraded. Not just the passive system that doesn't even feel important to the overall game. They also should have made it possible to fail when pressing the wrong button on the QTE parts. Not allowing failure just makes the game far too forgiving and easy. At least let us have a challenge. It's just a shame that there hasn't been, or most likely never will be, a sequel. All the problems here that I mentioned could easily be fixed with a sequel. Now, I'm not sure if this is true, but I read there was supposed to be a sequel, but there was a dispute between Crytek and Microsoft on who actually owned the IP. And so basically they couldn't come to terms, which is a shame, because there was plenty of here to improve upon. For me, Ryse, Son of Rome is as good and underrated as The Order 1886 on the PS4. Both games just needed more development time. But unfortunately for Ryse, Crytek had a hard deadline. It had to be released in time for the launch of the Xbox One. But while many have overlooked Ryse, Son of Rome, I for one am glad I didn't. I had a great time with Ryse. It was fun for what it was and had an interesting story that I really got sucked into. There is a small form of replayability with the collectibles and all the passive upgrades that can be made. And I suppose you can play on the harder difficulties if you want even more of a challenge. Ryse, Son of Rome is a fun but flawed game, but I would still recommend it because it's a fun hack and slash game, even though it is a bit lacking in some departments. But I have to say, Crytek, you made a very polished and beautiful game. I wish I could explore more of this world in a sequel. It's just a shame that you had such a hard deadline and you had to obviously cut out parts of the game that really could have turned this into a true franchise. I enjoyed my time with Ryse, Son of Rome, and I would have been very happy with my purchase if I had an Xbox One on launch day along with this game. Of course, I would have bought the Xbox One and this game on launch if it wasn't for all the BS that Microsoft tried to pull with the console before launch. But oh well, we can't change what happened. Microsoft can only learn from it and hope they don't make the same mistake with the newly announced Xbox X series, which I'm extremely excited for. So that's it for my review for Ryse, Son of Rome. I hope you enjoyed the video and understand my point of view of the game. Did you buy Ryse? And if so, did you enjoy it or did you hate it? If you did, I understand that it's not for everyone. But let me know what you think about the game in the comments. I honestly don't believe I'm the only one who found the good in Ryse, Son of Rome. It is a good game. It's just not all it should be. Well, until next time, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you want to see more, just hit that subscribe button. And as always, stay safe out there, and keep on gaming, gamers.